You talked about the shift in Charlie over a 10-year period, kind of more originally the coding was big government sucks, a little bit more of a libertarian flair. The last 3, 4 years, definitely a more Christian forward facing message. Do you think that that was his experience of being married and having children? Because every man I know who gets married and has children, they become even more conservative, but they often return to the religious basis because you're looking at a baby and you're like, I'm in charge of this. Or was it more of a Catholic influence, maybe through Erica, a theological deepening or a changing or a trending in that direction?
I think it's all of it put together in a sense, understanding where the country was, but then also feeling this. He loved cathedrals. He was very curious about the Rosary. I think he had questions about the Mariology, and he and I would go back and forth on that all the time. He understood the Rosary very well, and he would ask questions, and he was very interrogative. And of course, that's Charlie, right? That's how he interacts with things. There were a lot of Catholics put in Charlie's life. God put a lot of Catholics in his life, and perhaps I could be one of those people that you could think of. But I will tell you this. When I first met Charlie, I was working for OAN. And so I was sort of the OAN correspondent in DC. And then they would send me to Turning Point events. And I'd kind of get to know him through that and interviews and then just seeing him around. But I wasn't working with TPUSA until about sort of like the end of 2020, early 2021. One of those times when I first started working here, and I'm in Phoenix right now. So I flew out to Phoenix. Charlie and I went to a Catholic church here in Phoenix. They were having a traveling exhibit, and there was nobody else in the church at this time. It was the middle of the day. And the exhibit was on display, and it was just there in the church. And Charlie Kirk and I went in and knelt in prayer for about 45 minutes silently in the pew, and hanging on the wall right above us in the church was one of the gloves of Padre Pio. Charlie understood how important that was to me, and he wanted to share in that with me. And I really feel like it was in that moment, in the presence of the stigmata, that we formed that bond that even death is never going to break.